Okay, let's make sure we're also on the desktop audio. We are good to go. All right, everybody. Sorry, I am late. This was kind of unexpected. I had some stuff come up, trying to prepare for Thanksgiving. But nevertheless, I want to thank everybody that is going to be tuning into the stream, whether you're coming in live or whether you're going to be watching it later. Just want to say thanks once again. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Thanksgiving Eve. Whether you're preparing the food or whatever you are doing to help in the celebration, or if you're by yourself, hopefully you have a nice relaxing day. Hopefully you have the day off from work if that's what you're coming in from. But let's talk some NBA basketball news because that's what we're here to talk about. Really quick, the pie is actually not looking too bad. It's actually looking pretty good. So as soon as we get more people in here, I will also be shouting out my Instagram and also my Twitter handle, which I'm going to be doing for from here on out. So I'm going to be posting, maybe I'll post some clips from the show, from the stream, kind of get you guys engaged to kind of talk about this stuff. But yeah, let's talk some basketball news. And then at the end of the stream, we'll kind of go over the handles for all this stuff. But like I said, we're here to talk about some NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions. So an interesting thing to kind of note is that, of course, Austin Rivers did a sign-in trade, I believe, just a couple hours ago. So I think he's going to get the most money. I can't remember how much money he's going to get, but it looks like they're going to be doing a sign-in trade. That's kind of the news and rumors that we've been hearing. Also, good news for Boston Celtics. We're actually not complete losers in the Gordon Hayward trade, as we will be getting a trade exception from the team, and that is from the Charlotte Hornets, which is going to be great. A sign and trade means that we will be able to use that cap space and create another superstar max contract for somebody. So that is great news for us. I was worried that we were just going to become biggest losers because we didn't get anybody in that aspect. But like I said, the great news is we did do a sign and trade. We're not going to be losing him for nothing. And so that's kind of exciting to find out. Let's see here as well. Not really much else to talk about. We got kind of the same thing. A couple teams interested. Nicholas Batum, Marc Gasol is officially a Laker. We kind of talked about all this stuff before. Kind of moving on to here. We know that Bogdanovic is officially going to be a Hawks player. It's kind of a crazy turn of events to kind of remember that Bogdanovic was supposed to be a Milwaukee Buck, that is, and then all of a sudden he's become an Atlanta Hawk. And I think that's a great pickup, like I said, for the Atlanta Hawks at this point, because I think what it does, let me just take this sweatshirt off. I don't know why my sweatshirt, I'm just kind of bumming it right now. I don't know why my sweatshirt's all over the place, but yeah, I think the Bogdanovic signing was a great signing. And I thought that there's no way that the Kings are going to try and match that, because if the Kings did try and match that trade offer or that sign-in sheet for the restricted free agency, it just would have been a waste of time for them, because then at the end of the day, that player doesn't want to play for you. I know that there's potential trade bait, but like, what are you really going to get for Bogdanovic that is that worth that value? You had the right option, you had the right idea with the Bucks, but I don't know whether it was you that leaked it or whether it was another team that leaked it. It definitely did not pan out, and we're seeing the results of it. And I think the Milwaukee Bucks end up actually being one of our biggest losers in this draft or in this free agency class. Because losing a star player in Bogdanovic is actually kind of a heartbreaker. It's kind of a deal breaker for me. The East is only getting stronger, and the fact that Giannis hasn't been surrounded with other than just Drew Holiday and the amount of stuff he had to give up for him, it's a little frustrating, I would say, as a fan of any team, that you have to give up that kind of situation. So, like I said, as the hair is just kind of wild, and getting a haircut on Friday. Barber cannot schedule it in. I thought maybe I could sneak in a haircut on Thursday, but of course it's Thanksgiving, can't do that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I keep kind of getting off subject, but yeah, I think it was a great signing. They declined the 4-year, $72 million contract, which I think is actually perfect. It's actually kind of crazy to think that Joe Harris gets more money than Bogdanovic, because I think Bogdanovic adds a little bit more than just 3-point shooting. He adds a lot of other factors to his game. It's still kind of amazing to me that he was able to still, get more money than Bogdanovic. But at the end of the day, it was still a great offer from the Hawks. They made a great one. And I think the Kings, they had to make the decision of whether to keep him, whether to just let him go. But I think they made the right decision in letting him go, because if they were to keep him, it just would have been a waste of time, in my opinion. It would have been a situation where you just like, well, is he really, do we really want him? Does he really want to be here? And then you end up losing him for nothing next year. He might sign like a qualifying offer and be like, yeah, I just want to play 1 year and then become a regular free agent. It is what it is at this point, but the yawns are coming in early. I should have done the stream 2 hours ago, but that's okay. So they didn't sign anything. Bogdanovic, he's welcomed now there. They signed Danilo Gallinari. That's some of the biggest pieces that they picked up in the free agency class. And it's actually really good. Solomon Hill, Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn. I think the Atlanta Hawks, when we look at their roster, let me see if I can find their Atlanta Hawks roster now. Hawks roster. Let's see, 2021. Hopefully it has the updated roster. Let's see here. I don't think there's any. No. Come on. Or it just won't tell me what the roster is. Okay. But either way, I think what you're going to see from the roster is this, right? The Atlanta Hawks are going to have, obviously, Trae Young at the point. You're going to have Bogdanovic either at the 2 or the 3. Let me look at their roster from last year and kind of look at who they have on their roster. I didn't really take a look. So, obviously, they just drafted Onyeka. So, I think Onyeka is going to be probably about he's going to be either a 4 or 5. You're going to have John Collins, who I think they mesh well together. And then it's like you have, like I said, you have Trae Young, and it's either DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, or Cam Reddish. And I think that this is actually a great lineup for these guys. The thing I really like about the Hawks, and kind of what I'll keep repeating again and again, is that I think when you look at everything that's going on for this Atlanta Hawks team, I think that there is great potential for, like I said, being the Warriors of the East. I think they're a great team, man. The Atlanta Hawks, they had a great offseason. I think they're probably one of my biggest winners for offseason so far. As we kind of look to see what else is happening, looking like TJ Leaf might get traded. Trying to see, the Pacers are trading TJ Leaf for a future second-round pick to Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City is keep getting more and more picks. And by trading him, they are no longer in the luxury tax. And I think if you guys remember, for every dollar that you over the luxury tax, you owe like $1.25 or like $1.50. It's like almost crazy how much money you owe. Obviously, when it adds up, it's a lot of money, and it's something that I think a lot of teams, unless you're contending for a championship, don't really want to pay for. So I'm glad that they're trying to get under, because there's no way in heck. Man, I am just yawning way too much. I am sorry, everybody, for this kind of horrible streaming etiquette right now. It's just, I don't know how other people do it, man. I just feel like maybe because I'm talking too much or like talking fast. That might be why. But anyway, that's to another point. But also wanted to shout out the Charge. We're adding, I want to say that if you guys are interested, would you guys be interested in adding like this type of podcast to SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify? Like, would that be a better option too? So far I have what we call my podcast with me and my boy Pete called Console Wars. We talk about the Series X and the PlayStation and how much it costs, and people reselling it. It's kind of crazy, the resale market for those consoles. When you look at it, man, it's like what, $1,300 for a freaking PS5? You might as well just wait a couple months and then buy it later. It's just kind of ridiculous at this point. But anyway, wanted to shout that out. The Charge is officially on SoundCloud for my Console Culture podcast. But like I said, I can start putting these podcast episodes up online and up on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you like to listen to podcasts, and start putting up there. I know that it's not necessarily going to be the greatest form of hearing, because there's a lot of visual stuff as well when we do deep breakdowns, but I will do my best to kind of talk about those individual breakdowns and also kind of talk about other things as well when it comes to like the visual stuff, so you guys aren't left behind. So I think I'm going to start putting them up here and start uploading to SoundCloud, but also, like I said, hopefully putting it on iTunes so that way you guys can be interested if you are in our podcast. Me and Bobo Pete, like we said, creating the charge, putting the Console Culture podcast there. Episode 1 probably will make a separate SoundCloud for it, but just kind of wanted to plug it in out there. But like I said, let's move on to kind of some more NBA news. I mean, there's, like I said, there's not really much to talk about in terms of like NBA news and rumors, because to be honest with you, it's just kind of a small market right now. Look at this. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, we could talk about this. I think we'll talk about this in a little bit. But kind of in the lesser news, Hassan Whiteside agrees to a 1-year deal with the Kings. It's crazy to me. He started his career there, went to Miami, made a name for himself, and then all of a sudden now, it's like he's kind of lower on the totem pole and is not going to make that money that he once did. So that's kind of a disappointing state of affair for them. Look at the Pistons calling the Wizards to discuss a trade for Blake Griffin for John Wall. That's very interesting. I mean, let's think about this. Blake Griffin for John Wall. I think that's it's like a nothing trade to me, because like if you trade away, John Wall to the Detroit Pistons, I mean, what, you're taking away Derrick Rose's minutes, and then Blake Griffin is kind of in that Rui Hachimura role in terms of like that's what he's going to take his position of. I mean, like I feel like, to me, I think Blake Griffin just doesn't want to play basketball at this point. Not saying that he's like doesn't care about it, but I don't think that that's necessarily like his main focus. I think he likes the perks outside of basketball. He likes the stuff that that comes with the territory of being an NBA player, right? The clout, the stuff that allows you to the access to, the billionaires and the people that have venture interests. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll definitely back your interests if you want to be a comedian or whatever Blake Griffin decides to do. I've always been critical of Blake Griffin, not because of that, but because I think that he actually could have worked on his game. It kind of reminds me of Ben Simmons, to be honest with you, because I think, like I said, in my heart of heart, I think Blake Griffin could have been a really good player, has the ability to dunk. Obviously kind of had some injuries that affected him tremendously, but if he could have learned to shoot better, he would have been a great player. He was the number 1 pick, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just kind of, it's a sad situation to see where Blake Griffin is now, where like he's on a fodder team in Detroit rather than on a team that's trying to win somewhere else. So, he had many opportunities to do that as a Clipper and just didn't do it. And so now we're here looking at his career and being traded for John Wall. And for John Wall, it's like, why would you want to go to Detroit? Like, if Detroit's ambitions is to get to the playoffs, or is their ambition just to complete this rebuild and not, have a star player that they can bring in and, have fans come in to watch? Like, it's 2020. It's not 2011 anymore. John Wall isn't as popular as he once was. He's kind of a forgotten player in this league, to be honest with you. Sad, too, because I thought he could have been a really good player. But, again, it's the shooting. In this league, people will tell you need to learn to shoot and you need to learn to pass. I mean, those are kind of the two main things. Or, shooting has to be involved with one other with one other thing that you can do. Whether that's shooting, whether that's dribbling, whether that's passing, defending. Defending and shooting is probably your biggest key to get into the NBA. But like I said, man, it is a sad state of affairs, because I think that they could have done a better job to get their players going. But at the end of the day, I would like to see some growth and potential from other players. Like, I would love to see who did the Pistons draft? Let's see. Should be here on ESPN. Killian Hayes. It's like, why are you going to take away minutes from Killian Hayes and kind of that development period for Killian Hayes by playing John Wall? I think Killian Hayes is more of a point guard than a off-ball guard. So, like, I think Killian Hayes does need the ball in his hand to be a more effective player. And so I think that, yeah, you can teach him how to be a player that needs to not need it, in terms of, like, make him an off-ball guard, try and kind of make him mature that way. But I think in order to be a successful team, you have to have I think you have to have Killian Hayes be the point guard. You have to let him grow and develop, because if you don't let him grow and develop, he never will. And then you're going to be sad. You're going to be stuck with a player that you're not interested in, because it's like, oh, well, he didn't really develop into the D'Angelo Russell build that we wanted. So at the end of the day, it is what it is at this point, but I'm just not a fan of this trade because I think that this is just kind of a meh trade. I mean, look at this. This guy's comment says it completely. Shades of Rashard Lewis or Rashid Lewis or Rashard Lewis for Gilbert Arenas years ago. It's just like not really a trade that's worth anything in terms of like it doesn't benefit both teams. It's just a trade just for the sake of making a trade, and that's just not what you want to be in the business of. So at the end of the day, I'm kind of done with it. Oh, here we go. The snitch hotline alert. At least one rival team filed a complaint on the Bogdanovich deal. At least one rival team filed a complaint in the NBA League's office Wednesday regarding the Bucks' reported sign and trade. This reeks of LA Lakers. I'm just kidding. But it is kind of suspect that there's one rival team that complained. The league informed both the Bucks and Sacramento Kings afternoon that it would open an investigation to the alleged sign and trade already beginning of the agreement between the parties. Bogdanovich camp insisted they never discussed the particulars of an agreement with the Bucks officials, and they were only made aware of the negotiations. Bogdanovich even let Giannis Antetokounmpo and Giannis Antetokounmpo know that he never agreed to a contract with the Bucks. The Bucks and obviously, we talked about that trade. It's kind of an interesting thing that, this tampering situation was going on because, I mean, you could make the same argument for Anthony Davis and LeBron James that there was a tampering situation there. I don't think there was. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the trade offer. I mean, at the end of the day, if LeBron James and Anthony Davis can get together and they went through their alleged tampering charges or their alleged, NBA is like, hey, you need to make sure that, because I think the problem with a lot of this stuff, and it kind of makes sense as to why there is a problem, and it would be a problem whether it's Rich Paul or whether it's a different agent. When there's a lot of agents that have the same players, if LeBron James gets Rich Paul to get these other players to agree with them, they can have their secret meetings. They can happen to have all their clients come in and talk about business, but really it's about building a team wherever it is. Especially, if LeBron James likes you, I think that's kind of, I'm not going to say that LeBron James is having his own secret meetings with all these players and be like, Rich, make sure that this guy, and this guy are in my meeting to discuss, coming on Space Jam 2. And we can discuss, forming a super team. I don't think that happens, but at the end of the day, that is more likely to happen, whether it's Rich Paul, whether it's a different agent. I think it's just going to happen in general. So I don't know what the big issue is. And like I said, if Anthony Davis and LeBron James can get together, even with an alleged tampering charge, why couldn't Bogdanovich do the same thing with the Bucks? I never understood it. Take the fine and sign with the Bucks. It is what it is. If you know that you're going to be, interested in going to the Bucks, why not just say, screw it. I'm going to make sure that I have my contracts. I'm going to have my situation happening. And kind of form the team. Why does it have to be such a big deal for tampering? Obviously, it's an integrity thing, right? You want the league to know that these players aren't controlling where they're going. They're not talking to one another. The agents aren't forming secret meetings. I talked about Rich Paul, or whether it's another. Rich Paul's the only one that comes to mind because he's the only one that's really relevant as an agent. But there's probably other agents that are relevant too. I'm just kind of disrespecting them a little bit, but I think that it's kind of the same deal. But at the same time, it's why a team forms a complaint. It's what do these teams know the ins and outs of other teams? They probably do, to be honest. They probably have moles in the organizations with one another. But I do think it's frustrating if I'm a Bucks fan that the fact that we didn't get Bogdanovich is because a team complained. It's just kind of if that team is ever in a situation where they're in the same boat where okay, make sure you don't tell anybody, but then you end up I don't know. To be honest, it's a little shady, and it's a little, I don't know. It's a little disheartening if I'm a fan of a team that you can just complain and then you end up getting the player not to come to you. And it's just like, I think that was the plan all along, was to make sure Bogdanovich doesn't go to that team. But I think it's a little sad in my opinion, because like I said, I do believe that it would have been a great team. I think that would have been probably one of the bigger winners of the free agency besides the Lakers. And I think it would have been a great opportunity for them to grow and develop. But like I said, I think it is a little disappointing that the league couldn't find a way to appropriately, just give them the punishment, and then the Bucks be like, all right, we'll take the $500,000 fine. Because I believe that, like, I think we looked it up, right? Like, LeBron James, like tampering. Like, look at that. It's like, I think it was right here, right? Alvin Gentry kind of called him out on it when they were, okay, that's cool. Anyway. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think we kind of looked at the tampering charges on here. And not to say that, these players talk to each other, man. It's not like these players are they don't ever talk to each other. They're never playing at the same, whatever New York gym that they're playing at where everybody plays like a demigod. Like, they're always in the same boat, in the same area. So to be honest with you, it's kind of like I said, if I'm the Bucks, I just take it. But, kind of going back to the point for the Hawks, that's a huge pickup for them, man. You weren't expected to get Bogdanovich. You were expecting to, have Rondo, probably have some of these, role players and see where you can grow and develop. But now I think you speed the process up a little bit if you're a Hawks fan. And you should be excited if you're a Hawks fan, man. I think it's exciting to see that your team is finally, getting the confidence to start building a super team of your own. And I think Bogdanovich is going to help out in that tremendously. And there's a reason why he's getting $72 million. It's just, I do believe that it's frustrating. And let's kind of read some comments here. So it's just bad time for the Bucks. Commissioner Silver decided to crack down on early trades being made before he wanted to level the trading field to give other teams a chance to respond. The team said fine, but that Silver the book seriously. I think this kind of continues on, but for some reason it cuts off. Let me make sure if I can just... No, it doesn't do anything. Anyway, kind of reading on for this comment. That said, it's strange that the Bucks released Ilya Silver's contract was guaranteed the next day, so the deal in place. Then why didn't they just follow through and negotiate? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing. It's like, you might as well just... I mean, that's kind of the thing that I get frustrated with if I'm like a Bucks fan or whether I'm a Hawks fan, because, Hawks right now are kind of a smaller market team. I think they will be able to grow and develop their base eventually. It's just, if Trae Young continues to grow and develop, if this Bogdanovich move helps them out a lot, I think they can grow. But I don't know. Like, it just kind of reeks that, like, I think Anthony Davis and LeBron James tampered. Like, whether it's, like, legal or not, it's up to whatever the rules are of the NBA. But to be honest with you, it's kind of the same thing here, where it's like, I believe that Giannis talks to Bogdanovich and says, "Hey, come and play for us. We need your 3-and-D to kind of help us out and make sure that we get buckets." And that's kind of where my frustration lands with the NBA in terms of this tampering charge, because it's like everybody does it. It's not like the Lakers or the Bucks or these other teams are so special. But it seems to me like the smaller markets kind of get royally screwed over compared to the bigger markets for some reason. I don't know what it is, because I think this happened before, like with Minnesota. They had their tampering charge and they lost like so many picks. I believe that was the year that they signed that like huge contract to that one player that had like Kevin Garnett and I can't remember the guy's name. It's gonna bug me. I'm gonna have to look it up later. But I do think that it is an unfair thing for the Bucks to kind of get screwed over in that aspect. I know that the league is trying to get away from, doing these early trades, kind of like negotiating with one another before things are open and kind of opening a discussion and being like, well, it looks like you're giving me the best offer, so I'm just going to take that. But I think that at the end of the day, you have to just go with the flow and just be like, okay, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. And I think that, whether it was during the open season where people can trade or whether it was in the closed season, I think this trade would have happened anyway. But at the end of the day, I think for both teams' sakes, they just kind of want to avoid it because I think Silver is kind of he's going to punish the organization, it looks like, by, the picks that they got. So, like I said, biggest winners are obviously the Hawks right now, along with the Lakers. Ooh, it's at 10:30. Oh, dang, that sucks. I was hoping that game would be like kind of a midday game, but I guess they want to get in there before the NFL games. But what do I got? I think I told Jalen I had Kansas when I was playing with him earlier. No, I probably have Gonzaga. I think I told Jalen Gonzaga. I could have told him Kansas, but I'm probably going Gonzaga. I think Mark Fuse has got a great system. Not saying that the coach for Kansas isn't bad, but I like Mark Fuse's system. Actually, my coach actually gave me, if you guys can see in the camera, hopefully it kind of focuses. I actually got a Mark Fuse kind of fundamentals, quick motion offense DVD that he let me borrow. I actually have to return it. But I do think that the Zags are going to win tomorrow. I'm excited for kind of some good college basketball. Today it was kind of except that I believe that Villanova Boston College game was actually pretty good. If I can kind of look the results of that game up. I believe they won kind of in a close game. That was probably the only game that I really watched. I kind of want to watch a little bit of the Arizona State game because of Joshua Christopher. Kind of seeing how he's going to grow and develop. I like his game. I think he could be a player that we could watch here on the channel as the season continues, and maybe watch a full game. Like I would be very interested to watch a full game of his and kind of break down and dissect. And that's kind of the cool thing about streaming, and that's is that I love doing live videos of like looking at stuff and seeing players, because what I like about it is that, like, especially for the full games, like the college ones or whether it's high school, like we can actually take a look at these players' growth and development rather than just kind of like, look at the highlights, look at them dunk, look at them celebrate, go to the camera, point at the camera and be like, oh yeah, I'm really that dude. But what I like about looking at film, what I like about looking at like full game tapes, is because we can actually see these players grow and develop. And spoiler, guys, I do have some Paolo film if we want to watch that. Paulo Blanchero out of O'Day. I do have some scouting film of him from the past season. So I think this week we are going to be doing a Paulo Blanchero film dissection of the games that I covered. I think there's other games too, but I really want to cover them because I think obviously coming out of the state of Seattle, I think many people are wanting to know whether he's the real deal or not. And so we're going to look at some highlight film by me. So that's kind of a sneak peek to kind of talk about from here on out. But like I said, I do love Paulo. He's a great player, and we will discuss more about him on a later date. But let's move on to another story that we'll kind of talk about. We'll move to that Hornets trade, kind of discuss the sign trade. We discussed it a little bit earlier, but we'll kind of talk about it now. So like I said, the Boston Celtics aren't the biggest losers. And if my girlfriend is watching, yes, we are talking about the Boston Celtics again. If you're watching this on a replay, we are talking about them again. But this is kind of some good news for Boston. They've worked a sign and trade with the Hornets that would find the team to take to $27 million owed to Nicholas Batum. They're trying to find that. The Hornets will waive and stretch Nicholas Batum in order to sign Gordon Hayward outright. Batum, I don't know why I call him Batatum. Batum has $27 million remaining on his contract. And would remain on Charlotte's books for the next 9 seasons. The Celtics previously discussed a sign trade involving Hayward, but the Pacers didn't really have a thing to path to sign him outright. And I think Gordon Hayward would have went to Indiana by the looks of it. I mean, if the Pacers had enough money and cap space, then we would have actually signed him, and it would have been a great sign and trade deal. That's kind of where I'm getting a little frustrated with. It's just like, let's see here. The Celtics get Porter, Hornets get Gordon Hayward, and that. They get Tyrese, Nicholas Batum. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I said, I'm still frustrated. And if you want to watch my last live stream, I went on a huge rant about how I compared the Celtics to just a meat and patty burger compared to what we call the these other teams that made deals like a freaking burger with like grilled onions and many other type of toppings that are just amazing. But that's for the last stream if you guys want to check that out. But like I compared them to that because like right now, the ingredients that the Boston Celtics are made of right now, although they are the main core and substance, you still need the extra stuff to make a great sandwich. Like you can't skip processes, you can't skip steps in order to make things go faster. There's a process that you have to go through, and it's just kind of frustrating that we're seeing this lull that the Celtics are in at this moment. But that's the only thing I want to say about the Celtics at this stream because I kind of want to talk about the other stuff as well. Good news, Klay Thompson undergoes successful surgery to repair his Achilles. That's awesome. I wish it never happened because I think Klay Thompson, one of my favorite players to watch in terms of like his off-ball movement's amazing. He can get you 37 and also lock up your best player on your team. So, Klay Thompson has my vote, and I think he actually would have been a great number one guy on the team, and I'm kind of sad that he never got to experience that opportunity. But Klay Thompson is going to undergo successful repair surgery for his Achilles, so that's great to know. The Atlanta Hawks, obviously after the free agency that they've added, the Utah Jazz got an uptick in ticket risers. I mean, look at this. We got some tickets according to Vivid Seats data. The Knicks somehow got up for some reason. I don't know why. The Pelicans got up as well. Trailblazers up as well. But the Hawks are definitely up because you definitely see the Hawks have, more interest in their fan base because they're actually creating a team that's actually trying to compete for championships. The team that had Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, and was it Jay Crowder? I'm trying to remember if it was Jay Crowder or not. But yeah, I mean, whoever it was, that definitely was not going to cut it, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what we got. But it's kind of cool to see the Atlanta Hawks are starting to kind of get their notoriety and recognition for having their own superstar player compared to a team full of stars. So that's kind of fun to watch as well. Portland Trailblazers, they definitely did a little better job free agency. Toronto Raptors obviously are going to get up into purchasing tickets because they're going to be playing in Tampa Bay. So, it's an open state in terms of like there's not a lot of COVID restrictions compared to other states. So they're going to definitely have a lot of fans tuning into them. And so that's going to be an interesting situation to kind of look at and see how this team grows and develop. I'd love to kind of get your guys' opinion on it and see like how these teams can grow and develop. Because I do think that the Hawks right now are on a great path to become a super team. As long as they kind of follow the oven bake process of kind of going about it the right way, then it's going to be a great sight to see. And so Utah Jazz, obviously re-signing Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people are going to be interested in going to Utah Jazz games. I'm going to be curious to see if that is going to be open in the near future. Hey, Supreme Gamer, how you doing, man? But that is going to be a fun thing to watch. And let's kind of move on to another story here. We also got rival team expects to sign or expects to trade for Lou Will. Teams across the league are looking at Lou Will for some reason. They it seems like a lot of teams are trying to pick at the Clippers and get them more weak. And this just kind of goes to show you that the Clippers, they really needed to do a better job of building a team and a great roster. And the problem is sometimes is that I still think, like I talked about in my previous video, like Danny Ainge and Doc Rivers live off the championship that they won in 2008. And I think that that's kind of a sad state of affair because I do like Doc Rivers. I think he's still a great coach. But I think that they live too much off of that clout of the 2008 championship, and they just can't seem to get over the hump of whatever team it is. The Clippers, when they had the 2011 team with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, that team really should have went to the NBA Finals. And then this current team that he had right now with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and whether Lou Will or Montrez or whoever else you want to say that was on the team, that team should have definitely went to the NBA Finals. They were younger, they were stronger, and they looked like they had a better team and a better roster than the Lakers. But like I said, veteran leadership and veteran players matter more than what the Clippers had. And that's just kind of the issues, and that's kind of the state of affairs that we're seeing right now. Supreme Gamer, if I didn't say hi to you, how are you doing, man? Hopefully you're having a good pre-Thanksgiving. If you're an American, if you're celebrating here, you know, are you guys more fans of deep fried turkey, or are you guys fans of just kind of roasting your turkey? I'm not sure what you guys like to do. We're going to probably do roasted turkey. I made some pumpkin pie. It's actually looking pretty good. I'll post it on our new Twitter and Instagram handles. So if you guys are interested, make sure to, at the end of the stream, tune in. Or actually, I'll put it in the chat right now. Let me pull up my live stream really quick and kind of put up what the name of both the Twitter handle and the Instagram handle for the Instagram handle and the Twitter handle. I just kind of lost my train of thought. Roasting Turkey in America. And so I'm going to put it in the chat, but I'm also going to kind of call it out as we speak. Hopefully you guys can see it. It is called at the Charge Stream. That's going to be the Twitter handle and also the Instagram handle for our new social media accounts at the Charge Stream, and also for Instagram and Twitter. So whenever you're on those websites or whenever you're on Instagram, go and follow it. You should see this basketball logo that just popped up in the stream, and also kind of what the logo of the Charge is. And that's going to be the official stream, and that's going to be the official channel or the official social media accounts of the Charge. So I want to thank you everyone who's giving us support, whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on a different day. I think what I'm going to try and do is kind of stream for maybe I want to at least either Thursday or Friday, because I don't want to make like empty promises. I would love to stream, twice in a day. So whether that's, Friday I stream at, midday and also at night. I kind of want to do a couple streams like that, because I would love to kind of add that to the squad and what we're doing. So, make sure to kind of follow it out. Like I said, at the Charge Streams of the official Twitter account and the Instagram account of the Charge. At the Charge Stream, again, it is at the Charge Stream. That is our official Instagram and Twitter account. So go and check that out. I will be having the pumpkin pie on there and showing you guys my creation that I had. But let's kind of move on and talk about this interesting thing, that the Bucks and the Pacers are discussing a Dante DiVincenzo, George Hill for Victor Oladipo, which I think would actually really make a good team. And you know what? It might even be a little bit better than getting Bogdan Bogdanovic. I'm not saying that Victor Oladipo is much better, but I do think that he is a good star player, and I think that he does add a lot of things to a Bucks team that is definitely missing some heart to it. Obviously they got Jrue Holiday. That's a great pickup, but they need to start adding other pieces as well, to not only Giannis, but also to Middleton. And I think that actually might be a great pickup for them. So we could potentially be seeing a interesting situation form and develop. Man, this chair is just struggling right now. But I do like the pickup. I think it's going to be a great one if they are able to get Victor Oladipo, but they haven't made any advances on the talk, it looks like, from this Bleacher Report article. So, I'm kind of, we'll see what happens here. But at the end of the day, I think Victor Oladipo would do a lot better and would actually be a better player for the Bucks rather than to play in Indiana, where I feel like this team isn't really going to go anywhere. I know this team has aspirations of they want to get to the finals. They're tired of being kind of the biggest losers in the league. But when you don't have the roster to become winners, it's hard to do it. And I think they're missing a star player. Victor Oladipo will not make them title favorites, but make them favorites out of the East. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what the Nets do as well and what these other teams do. I still think at the end of the day, the Bucks are going to be number one no matter what. But I think in terms of like title contenders, it's going to be a tough one, because I think we're also discrediting the Miami Heat as well. I know the Heat are still going to be, a good team. The Bucks are going to be a great team, but kind of going off from them, I still think the Raptors are going to be a good regular season team. The Philadelphia 76ers only got stronger. The Celtics are still in contention, even though I'm not really a fan of them. And now the Atlanta Hawks, they also strengthened as well. So I think the East is getting a little bit stronger. Obviously, it's not the strongest compared to the West, where I feel like anybody could get into the playoffs. The East, it's like the teams that are on the bottom that are definitely not going to make it. And so I think that's kind of something to look out for as we continue to watch this go on. But we will be watching Patrick Baldwin Jr. That's kind of our next player that we're going to be focusing on for our kind of spotlighting players of the week. I guess not the week. I guess, the stream. Whenever we stream, we will be discussing a player. So in about 5 minutes, we will be discussing Patrick Baldwin Jr., kind of watching his game. Like I said, this week we will be watching Paolo. Nicholas Blow. Hey, man, how you doing? We will be discussing Patrick Baldwin Jr. In about a couple minutes. Obviously, we kind of went over all the news and rumors. And like I said, this weekend, I guess I shouldn't say this weekend, maybe either tomorrow or Friday, we will be looking at Paulo Banchero film that I actually filmed scouting for our team that's in the greater Seattle area. So I will be showing off that tape and kind of breaking down their game film. Obviously, it's not going to be the greatest competition. I think there is better competition out there, but I still think that watching Paulo and watching him like in a live setting where he's actually going against real competition and not like these highlight films where you're watching only the best, you can see a couple different things. I think we'll watch a couple of them. I do want to watch the state championship game of Paulo. Well, maybe, I'm not sure. Did they get third? They must have gotten third this year, if I'm not mistaken. Washington. Let's kind of look at this. Sorry, guys, to kind of... let's see here. If you guys want to know, this is WIA, so this is for Washington. Let's see here. Tournaments. Brackets and past results. What is the Winter 2020? What is it? 3A? Yeah, 3A. Garfield and O'Day. This is 2020. Okay. So it looks like it was Garfield and O'Day, and Rainier Beach got 5th place, man. That's crazy. Maybe one day, when I don't work for the team I work for, I'll show you the film of our Rainier Beach game. Man, that was such a fun game, and kind of the momentum swing of it. But as much as it was a fun game, it was also kind of a heartbreaking one as well. But maybe that might be a game we watch in the near future. I'll see if I'm okay to show that film. It was probably it's probably the best in terms of like just kind of going on a little tangent here about coaching. This was probably one of my favorite games that I was ever a part of coaching wise. I'm not the head coach. Obviously I'm an assistant. Kind of what I want to do in the future is kind of build a, let me show you guys this bracket. You probably guys can't even see it cause it's so like, small, but, one of my favorite games was that Rainier Beach game that we played, because I think it's kind of like the love-hate relationship of basketball. It's one of those games where you build up for it, you work your butt off, but ultimately you don't get the results that you want. And that's fine because in life that happens, right? You're not always going to get the job you want. You're not always going to get everything that you want in life, but it was a fun game. And it's kind of the experience and the journey of getting better. And that's kind of one of those games and the turning point for our coaching staff, but also for, the players as well that are returning, for the school that I work at. It was a great honor. It was a great, situation to happen. And I loved it, man. I love the energy of the game, and whether, we did lose that game. And like I said, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, guys, but it was a fun game to watch. It was a fun game to coach in, more than watch. It was a fun kind of chess maneuvers here and there. And it ended up coming down to a couple baskets at the end of the game. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I'll show that film hopefully in the future. Usually, so how it works in Washington, is that we play in what's called the Metro League. So, the Sea King District. So that involves the teams that are in the Metro. So in Seattle, man, this is going to be a long story, but in Seattle, 3A is probably where the best competition's at, because the better schools that you're seeing here, like Garfield, where Brandon Roy, if you guys remember him, he's a former NBA player. He coaches at Garfield. O'Day is usually pretty good because they are a Catholic school that I hate to say it because I am a Catholic myself, but they do recruit and they kind of take advantage of that aspect, in my opinion. Because I saw it happen at Archbishop, where I was at for high school, so I saw it. So Eastside Catholic, kind of the same thing. They're also a really good team. They have a bunch of really good players. Rainier Beach usually is they're usually hit or miss. But how it works is that we play in a district. So our district, when we win it, it's like our conference. Like, we win our conference games, we get placed in a district game where you play against the Metro teams, which are obviously kind of the top tier, the cream of the crop teams. And so how it works is that we kind of get placed in there, and then we played a team, didn't win the game that we needed to, and we didn't get to like this part of the bracket, which is where the goal for our team is to get into this part of the bracket. And I think that we have a good shot. Hopefully, we can play a season, and they give us an opportunity to play in this tournament. But I do think that we have a really good chance of getting in here. Anyone but the Zags. Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit. Supreme Gamer, I don't know if you were here when we talked about it on my last live stream. We actually talked about Compazio. We actually watched some highlight film, but I like his game. I think he's the Argentinian, if I'm not mistaken, Supreme Gamer. I love his game because I think that he's kind of like a JJ Barea type of build. He's a guy that you think, like, why is he in the league? But he's actually he's like a bucket getter. And so I do love his game. I think that he's actually a really good player. So we definitely will be kind of overviewing teams in these live streams. I think that that's kind of the best way to do it rather than make a video. Because for some reason, from what I'm watching and what I'm seeing on Twitter and kind of looking at the analytical stuff of it, it seems like live streams do a lot better than your traditional videos for some reason. I'm kind of noticing that. Maybe it's because with videos, they're kind of capped at a certain time limit. Meanwhile, streams, they can go on for however long the person goes on for. So I think live streaming is probably going to be the best bet for what this channel does. But we also will be putting out videos. I think videos obviously make YouTube what it is, which I think is kind of crazy that that's where YouTube is kind of going out of that direction. But that's a different discussion for a different day. But Supreme Gamer, going back to your point, we did talk about him. Like I said, he's a JJ Barea build, great shooter, great passer of the ball, Argentinian. He's from the Manu Ginobili camp. He's obviously kind of learned the Manu step. But to kind of really put it specifically, his 3-point shot is really good. His passing ability is also great as well. Kind of on the smaller end. I think he is about, let's kind of look up his height, because to me, he kind of looks like he's 5'11". That doesn't really help how tall he is. 5'11". So he's kind of like that. He's kind of like that JJ Barea build. I think that's kind of a lazy comparison in my opinion, but he does kind of remind me of him, because I think when you watch him play, when you see him play, it just reminds you of JJ Barea, like a maybe not more athletic version, but definitely a guy that can keep up with many of the other bigs. Like he's a smaller guard, like we talked about, but he's also stocky too. Like maybe a little bit stockier than JJ Barea, but he can definitely dish it out to people. And Supreme Gamer, I do like his ability to play. And so he's definitely going to be someone that we talk about in the near future as like an X factor for them, because they definitely need like another guard besides Jamal Murray to step up. And if he can come with the second unit and do his damage, he might be a really good player for them. So we look forward to him. But I kind of over delivered, and so let's kind of watch Patrick Baldwin Jr., who's in the class of 2021, the number 2 guy, and just kind of watch some film on him. Let me move this a little bit. Let me move. Whoops. Hey. Probably should move myself down here. The next Jason Williams, interesting, Supreme Gamer. I don't necessarily see that from him, because I think his dribble moves, like, he's not like a dribbler. He's more like a guy that, like, he knows and picks his spots. He's not going to over dribble and overdo things to where I think that it's going to be costly to him. And so kind of thinking about him in that aspect, I'm not sure if I agree with that necessarily, but I could see why people look at him like that, because anybody that's kind of like on the shorter end, a white, perceived white, because he's Argentinian, he could be, I don't know what he is, but like usually kind of seen as like that, whatchamacallit, like a Jason Williams type of player. But really, I think he's more JJ Barea. I think, like, in terms of like what he's going to be able to do for the Nuggets, I think that he's a guy that, definitely adds tremendous like off the bench value to the team, but is not going to be someone where like Jason Williams is going to be there on the court for a long period of time. Like, he's going to be a guy that comes in spurts and does his damage there, rather than like spending the whole time working on his game, or like being in there the whole time like with the first unit. I want to see if there's like a full game. Man, I'm knocking everything over today. Like I said, like these. Wow, Josh Christopher, man, 3 years ago. Wow, he looks like a baby now. He's like a grown man now. Watching him play at Arizona, watching him play in Arizona State, it's like a completely different person 3 years ago. Let's see here. I guess we could watch this. I mean, watch some slam highlights. Eek. I think Paulo's number 3, if I'm not mistaken. I have to watch, like, the thing that makes me upset, Supreme Gamer, is that, like, I'm trying to find, and that's the one thing that, I think we kind of get guilty of following into, is that sort of, the hype train for these players is like, I want to see a full game tape. I don't want to watch just the highlights, because like the highlights can hide a lot of factors, right? It can hide your field goal percentage, it can hide your real numbers, your true shooting percentage, it can hide a lot of things. So I want to find him like some, but I need to watch like his abilities here. Like, obviously those two are going at it, so we'll see. See here. So they're going against each other, which I like. It's kind of crazy that Paulo was going to play football, and then he ended up just growing up to be like, what is he, 6'7", 6'9", and was like, yeah, I don't want to play football anymore. I want to play basketball, which I think is a smarter move. I'll have to see. Yeah, so he's second in the class of. All right, so Chet Holmgren's number one, obviously. It's Patrick Baldwin, then Paulo, and then it's a couple other players as well. Jabari Smith, Jaden Hardy. Yeah, I mean, highlight mixtapes are so misleading because, like, at the end of the day, these highlight tapes, like I said, they just show the best things about a player. Like, if I, as someone who's, like, on the shorter end of things, like, if I came up with a highlight tape of me just making all my three-point shots and making my layups and didn't really show you, like, the whole game, then, yeah, you would say, like, that I would be, like, the best player in the nation. Paulo kind of dunked on him. I mean, let's look at Patrick Baldwin's stats. Sorry, not Bamford. Baldwin Jr., let's kind of look at his stats. I mean, let's kind of see here. I mean, he's undeclared, so he's got, like, a lot of... trying to see... No, it's usually, like, 247 Sports that really kind of give up his highlight tape. I mean, if he goes to Duke, that team is going to be so stacked. I mean, you already have Paulo going there. If you have two of the top three players going there, I think maybe what would it be? No. Maybe it would be Rivals. No, what's the... that's what it is. Sorry. It's not that. It's probably going to be Max Preps. Not mistaken. Let's see here. Hopefully it has his... Should I say this is me? Forward. And what teams did he play for? Hamilton High School. Well, see the box score. I don't know if it'll show me. See, this is the kind of thing that sucks too, is that, like, you can't really get his stats. I mean, let's see here. Stats. We got this kind of analyzing Patrick Baldwin Jr. Is he worth the hype? Let's kind of read his situation. Why bother? Dream Patrick Baldwin, the son of two Northwestern student athletes, consensus top three. Yeah, he's not going to Northwestern. I'll just kind of cut to the chase on that part of it. He's kind of gotten that from the articles and kind of what I'm watching. He kind of does kind of remind me of Michael Porter Jr. Kind of like that long, lanky, small forward, could be a power forward build. So I think that's kind of like where I see him more. I mean, like, let's kind of look at this. For non-high school, looks like they have his stats here. High school is about 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, 4.2 assists, point steals, don't really have blocks, turnovers, or anything else. For 3-point, he's 67 to 155. Free throws, he's automatic, it looks like, in high school. When it comes to non-high school things, and let me just look at this really quick, make sure it's not anything interesting. When it comes to non-high school, it looks like he struggles a bit. And obviously, in high school, you're playing against probably weaker competition. You're not really playing against the top guys. And so, like, when we look at his non-high school numbers, it's a little concerning to me that he's shooting 25%. I mean, let's not, 12 for 47 is not necessarily bad, but it's still not a good percentage. I think free throws is not bad. I think that he looks like he might be a good player. I've no doubt that he'll, like, be a good fit in the NBA. The question is he gonna really make that huge impression on teams? And we'll kind of see it when he goes to when he actually goes to Duke and plays for or whatever college team he plays for, or whether he just goes to the G League. That's kind of where the rumors of him, where he's going. I think that's kind of where we're gonna look at and see, like, okay, is he really about being that, like, Michael Porter Jr. comparison, or is he going to be more kind of a decent player. And like the article kind of talks about it, like just at the right raw percentages, like he's a very good shooter, just not an elite shooter. And so like he's kind of like, kind of like a regular player. I mean, let's kind of look at some of these highlights. I feel like this guy does a really good job. I mean, let's see here. See, like the release there is a little funky to me. I mean, if that's him shooting, it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily a great release. I mean, let's kind of look at the self-created jumpers in high school games. Let's see here. I mean, this is kind of a highlight film from probably. See, to be honest with you, that looks a lot better. I don't know what it was on this film up here. I don't know what that form was, but like I said, when you play, maybe he does play in the highest division for high school. So who knows? And obviously high school is so big and in terms of like how many players are actually in the high school pool versus like the AAU pool, and then even smaller with the NCAA college pool. I mean, let's look at the AAU right here. Create a nice space for him. Weird wrist flex and landings. Interesting. Let's see this. Okay. So I get what they're saying. Like the release of the shot. Sorry, I'm gonna put a full screen so you guys can see. I want to see if that's what he's doing in his other jumpers. Sorry if this is kind of like a boring live stream or like a boring kind of little lull of the stream. I want to see if he's doing that over here. I mean, let's see the landing really quick. Let's see here. What's the landing looking like? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's kind of like I think that the worrying thing to me is probably that that's that offhand. It doesn't look particularly well in terms of like. But I think that when we look at things, I do like his ability. I think, like I said, he could definitely be like a Michael Porter Jr. at worst. And that's a good thing because, I mean, like Michael Porter Jr. is still a really good player. He's still learning to grow and develop. So, Michael Porter Jr. at this current state, that's not a bad comparison at this point. I mean, let's look at the NBA draft.net and kind of look at what they have as their. Look at their mock drafts. Hopefully they have next year's class. Let's see here. 2021 mock draft class. Actually, no, it'd be 2022, right? Yeah, it'd be 2022. Looks like they don't have it yet. But I mean, like, if that's his comparison, it's actually not a bad comparison at this point. Let's look at the 2022 mock draft NBA. Fueled by sports. We have him going to like to number 10. So obviously, like, his upside isn't necessarily that great in terms of like what teams are looking for at this point. I mean, like, this is just one thing, but like Emoni Bates is kind of regarded as like one of the best players. Obviously they have him going early. Chet Holmgren, I'm not so sure about Chet Holmgren, man. Like, I think a lot of people are overhyping him, man. I want to say it's I mean, this looks like it's projected because there's no way I think the Golden State Warriors are going to be this bad. I'll have to look at like what their picks are. Obviously, maybe they have picks that belong to somebody else, but just kind of going off like more so, I don't think the Warriors are going to be in this position anyway. But more so looking at like, Patrick Baldwin Jr. going to number 10. Meanwhile, you have guys like Chet Holmgren going number 2 to the Cavaliers. Like, I think Chet Holmgren to me really definitely needs to bulk up, man. Like he looks too small, in my opinion, to be someone that you would be. What the heck? Oh, let's see here. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's a fantasy basketball thing. I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm not so sure about Chet Holmgren. I think Amani Bates is the real deal. I'm not sure about this Adrian Griffin guy. We'll have to watch it. Oh, I know the Warriors have a lottery pick via the Timberwolves. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, they expect the Timberwolves to be that bad? Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of players like the Jalen Duran. Well, I'll have to watch him play. Adrian Griffin Jr. I'll have to watch him play. Paulo, like I said, this Friday we will be watching some Paulo We'll be watching the Paulo coaches tape. Like we won't be watching, highlight tapes of him like dunking and doing all crazy things. Like we'll watch him like throughout the whole thing and kind of analyze for ourselves and kind of do a breakdown of his game and seeing like, hey, is this guy the real deal? Or hey, let's kind of wait on this guy and see like where he can grow and develop. But I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, unless we have other things to talk about in terms of like news and rumors for the NBA, like yeah, I can show you a little bit of Amani Bates. Like Amani Bates to me looks like a more athletic Kevin Durant. We kind of watched it yesterday. This is the one we watched. So this is Chet Holmgren versus Amani Bates. I believe I can't remember when, but like Amani Bates currently is a junior. Meanwhile, Chet Holmgren is a senior at this point. So that's just kind of a heads up, Supreme Gamer. He's actually a really good player. He looks like he's the real deal in terms of like, I can't even have a comparison for him. That's how much I think he's going to be a great player in the NBA. He already has kind of like the grown man body as a junior. And so I think I'd love to see him grow and develop even more as he continues to grow and develop. Like Chet Holmgren there, like, so there wasn't the finish there, but right off the bat, I'm not so sure about him. But like as this is going on, Supreme Gamer, I can kind of talk about the Bogdanovic signing. I thought it was a great signing for the Hawks. I thought the Hawks really did a great job of getting a player that they thoroughly enjoy and someone that could definitely help them grow and develop, becoming like a 5th or 6th seed in the East. They definitely did a good job of picking the right guys. As we see Amani Bates get the rebound, pass out, hit the glass. I mean, that's just ugly. Luckily, when he goes to college in the NBA, you won't have teammates like that. They'll actually drain those shots. But I think the Bogdanovic trade was a great thing for the Hawks. It sucks for the Bucks because I think that would have really kept the Bucks it would have definitely helped them a lot rather than hurt them because they really haven't. This is kind of like a highlight, but it's like an ESPN broadcast, so you can kind of see like more defensive motor, kind of looking that has hands down a little bit. I think these are things that that's kind of things that you learn about. But I don't think the Kings necessarily did a bad job. And let me I'll kind of mute this while I talk. I don't necessarily think it was a bad move, Supreme Gamer. More so, I think what they decided to do was why even try? Because the thing is like teams know that you're trying to trade him. How much are they really going to give you at this point? I don't think they're necessarily going to give you the moon. They're not going to give you a Drew Holiday package. They're not going to give you a James Harden package if he gets traded. They're not giving you that for Bogdanovic. So I definitely think that it's more of they don't want to necessarily create that opportunity or they create that that atmosphere or that sort of hostility. Because in the future you want to make sure that you have a good relationship with all your players, because otherwise your players are going to say to other players hey, don't try and re-sign with the Kings after you're done with your rookie contract. They're trash. They don't pick up your contract deals. I think that's something that the Kings were worried about, and so that's why they were okay, let's take a break and not force anything. But I think Buddy Hield has to leave because I don't think the Kings necessarily want him to start. Like, I think the thing is that Buddy Hield wants to be a starter, and they're not necessarily going to give him that. They're not going to give him that opportunity to start. So I think he needs to look for a trade. And I think that the thing that sucks is because I do like Halliburton. I think he could be a really good guard in this league. And so I'd be curious to see what happens with Buddy Hield, but I think they need to start rebuilding, and they need to start looking to kind of put the pieces together for De'Aaron Fox and for Halliburton, and just kind of figure out like what you can do with those two. Hopefully it's not like a Portland Trailblazers 2.0 there with those two, but I have a little more faith in those guys than I think a lot of people do. But I don't think Buddy Hield is going to necessarily stay. I think he's going to be a guy that like says, you know what? If you're not going to make me a starter, I'm just going to look for a trade. And, I think that he will get traded. I think it will be a good move for both those teams. And I think the Kings are actually going to get a little bit in return for Buddy Hield because he's more of like a role-playing player more than like a starter. That's kind of like the honest truth about Buddy Hield. Like, I think he's a good player, not saying that he's necessarily like bad, but I think like on a team that's trying to win a championship, he's going to be a great catch and shoot guy and a guy that can kind of create his own shot at times. And so I think Buddy Hield will be a great player for whatever team he does, but we'll see what happens from here on out. Oh, man, I am yawning. I'll probably go for another like 10 minutes, and then I will sign off on this channel. Like, I'll try and get on earlier tomorrow, probably sometime after Thanksgiving feast, whenever that is for us. I think we usually do like a sorry if I hit the mic, like a dinner, like a lunch dinner. So maybe a later stream, hopefully. Probably we'll be playing some 2K or whatever other games I'll be trying to play. I'll be doing that more than likely. But we'll be watching a little bit more of this highlight tape from everybody. So there, Emoni Bates. Like, I think shooting-wise, he definitely needs to work on his jumper. It's not necessarily the cleanest jumper, but, like, driving-wise, and obviously you're going against, like, guys that are so much shorter than you. But I do think that he's going to be a really good player in this league. Like, I have no doubt about it. I need to see more of this Chet Holmgren kid. I would love to kind of watch more of it and see what type of player he really is, because so far, I'm not like necessarily impressed as to why he's like the number one player in the. Yeah, Supreme Gamer, I can definitely play some Among Us. I definitely can play some Among Us probably later that night. If you want to kind of join in and hop in the live stream with me in terms of like playing games. I'll probably. Maybe we'll save that for Friday, I think, Supreme Gamer. I think Friday, because I'm going to do a double stream, kind of one being more catered towards video games like 2K, even though it's sports, and obviously I'm a sports guy. I think Friday is probably going to be the better time to do Among Us, because I think it'd be a fun kind of thing down memory lane. You might see some of my old athletes and maybe even some of my current athletes play that game with us as well. So, I think that'll actually work. Supreme Gamer kind of playing that on a Friday. And then Thursday we'll go over, kind of doing some late night stuff, kind of going over team rosters, what they're looking like so far. And kind of looking at like, maybe we'll look at a couple teams tomorrow and see like, okay, where do they need to look at? Kind of doing my old series that we called the Fixer Upper, where we talk about teams and we say like, okay, this team needs this players. This is where the teams need to go. And so we'll probably do a live stream of that. I think that'll be a little bit more fun than doing a regular video. But anyway, that is going to do it here for the stream. I know we're watching the Chet Holmgren and Emoni Bates highlight once again. But we kind of wanted to show Supreme Gamer what Emoni Bates was all about. He's a really good player. I think he's going to be the real deal in the league. I think the jumper just needs a little bit of tweaking, but I think it could be settled. And like I said, on Friday, we will be doing some Among Us. We will be doing some 2K, and we also will be doing some Paulo highlights and looking at the coaches cam of it. And so I'm going to feast tomorrow with 8 different types of meat to feast on. Damn, how many meats are you eating? Pause if necessary for that one. But how many meats are you eating? What are you gonna have? Turkey, chicken? Are you on a carnivore diet? Supreme Gamer. I mean, that's a lot of meat. That is definitely a lot of meat. That's crazy. That is a crazy amount of meat. 8. Like, I think the only ones that I really have is more like just turkey, and obviously I made a pumpkin pie, so we're gonna see how that goes. If I spin a basketball, Woo. Sorry if I hit the mic on that one. I kind of I need to be doing something sometimes when it comes to streaming, so you will be seeing my basketball sometimes in here. Like, I'm not gonna dribble it because obviously, or do little taps because obviously that's gonna make a lot of noise in the mic. But man, it is I need to know before I leave, like, what meats are you eating for turkey, chicken, lamb, ham, and I can't remember the rest. Dang. All right, Supreme Gamer. That is a lot of meat. Hopefully, you don't stuff yourself too much, because I hate, the one thing I hate, and I don't know if you're the same way, Supreme Gamer, I hate that feeling of being overstuffed. Like, it just makes my belly full, and it doesn't feel good, going or moving around. And so, also, if you guys are doing your Thanksgiving feast, make sure to at least get a little bit of exercise in, whether you walk, whether you run, move around, do weights. I think it's good to get a little bit of exercise before you eat, even if it's light, and even stretching, kind of getting active, getting your heart rate up a little bit is kind of the move. And so make sure you do that before you decide to feast, and that goes for me as well. I'll be doing a little workout in the morning. But anyway, that is my spiel on Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys will enjoy your Thanksgiving. I will be on tomorrow. Not sure what time. Obviously, it's probably going to be earlier than what I did today because obviously kind of looking by the crowd in terms of we don't have our usual faces besides Supreme Gamer. Jabberwocky, Sean is in there as well. We got a new guy in here, Nicholas Bloget. Salute again to you. But it looks like it's a little too late to be doing the stream at this point. So, dang, Supreme Gamer, you're gonna be doing a lot of things: hiking, horseback riding, and cycling. Supreme Gamer, are you out in a rural area? Are you in the city? Or because to be honest with you, it looks like you're kind of in a rural area, which isn't necessarily bad at this point. You're kind of spaced out away from people, so that's a benefit obviously during this time of COVID. But man, that's interesting, man. You're gonna do all 3 of those things. I mean, maybe you have to when you eat 8 different types of meat, but that's really cool, man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be doing a run, and then also kind of doing some weightlifting stuff, and kind of doing some light conditioning tomorrow. Kind of hopefully get my heart rate up and kind of work on kind of the form of getting back into peak basketball shape. In a big city. Interesting. And so, do you do the horseback riding, out in, the rural area? Or, where do you do the horseback riding? I'm assuming probably in the rural area. And then you kind of do your cycling wherever you can. And then the hiking, I'm assuming, is also kind of out of the city. Oh, yeah. God, man. Yeah, I have to do these streams a little bit earlier because otherwise you're just going to get me yawning 20 different times. Like I said, maybe I'm not getting enough oxygen in the brain because I'm talking so much. But with that being said, Supreme Gamer, thank you once again for coming onto the live stream. And thank you to everybody that was joined in here. Sean, Jabberwocky, Nicholas Bloget. Really appreciate everybody that came to the stream. It was fun watching not only Patrick Baldwin Jr., but also talking many other things. And if you guys were late to the party, or if you guys are catching the end of the stream, go and rewatch this live stream. Also, go and hit the like button on this. It looks like YouTube is kind of doing a new algorithmic thing where the more likes you get, the more engagement other players. Oh, wow. You do that all in the city. Interesting. Anyway, kind of going back on my spiel. Make sure to hit that like button because, like I said, more engagement of the like variety helps YouTube channels a lot and gets us recommended. So if you guys can do me a huge favor and hit that like button, can we get this live stream to 10 likes? That'd be awesome. And like I said, we're less than 300 away now from getting to that magical 1,000. And once I do, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to actually get a lot of we're actually going to do a really good job of kind of creating an atmosphere and creating an environment where a lot of us fans for basketball especially can enjoy and kind of talk and see, what guys are coming up in the NBA and what guys are still coming. But Supreme Gamer, thank you again once again for joining. We'll see you Friday. Play some Among Us. Anyway, guys, like I said, thank you once again for joining me here on the live stream. Thank you once again to, like all I said, to the people that were in the chat. And if you're watching this back, I really appreciate you for coming back and watching it. And anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for coming to the charge. Like I said, we have a new Twitter and Instagram handle. It's called the Charge Live or the Charge Stream. So go and check that out. I will be starting to post stuff there as well. Again, that is at the Charge Stream. And that's all together. And so when you look that up, you should see this basketball logo. That is the logo for our YouTube channel. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's right here. So this one right here. Let me make sure. Pull that up. Sorry to kind of load everything up. But this logo right here. This is what you're going to be seeing when you look at our channel or Instagram and all that other stuff. But anyway, guys, like I said, once again, thank you for joining me. We'll catch you on the next live stream. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you guys stay safe out there, social distance, and make sure that you guys are taking the safety precautions as well. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. I'll catch you later. Peace.